Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to, well, cut through the noise and get you those insights.
Exactly.
Today, we're plunging into something pretty interesting, a stack of early details about a phone that's already got people talking. The upcoming OnePlus 16 Pro.
Right. Still very much under wraps officially.
Totally. But we found this detailed excerpt. Looks like it's from my Fusion Mobile. And it seems to give a sneak peek at, well, maybe the full specs. And even a rumored price in India.
Which is always a big point of interest.
For sure. So our mission today, go beyond just the headlines. We want to really understand what these early details could mean for you and, help sort the exciting potential from maybe the more speculative stuff.
Makes sense. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this. So right off the bat, this source, my Fusion Mobile, they're very clear. This is an upcoming device. They literally say, not announced yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's firmly in that coming soon zone. What does that actually tell us about this info we're looking at?
Well, it's a critical point, really. When a phone's coming soon, these details, they're often leaks, whispers from the supply chain, maybe very early development plans.
So not set in stone.
Not at all. It's not final, confirmed stuff from OnePlus. But that doesn't mean it's useless. For people who follow tech closely, like many of you listening, these early specs are actually pretty valuable.
How so?
Well, they let you gauge maybe where the phone's going to sit in the market, anticipate future trends, sometimes even get a hint of the manufacturer's strategy way before the official reveal.
Okay. Like getting an early blueprint.
Exactly, like an early architectural drawing. It's not the finished building, but it's enough to get you thinking, get you informed.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to what we were seeing. The display, usually the first thing you notice. Here, it says 6.77-inch LTPO AMOLED screen, and the resolution is sharp, 13212 by 2848 pixels.
Mm-hmm.
What's the real story behind those numbers, that tech? LTPO AMOLED.
Right, so the LTPO AMOLED part is particularly interesting. LTPO, low-temperature polycrystalline oxide, it sounds fancy, but it's a key innovation.
Okay.
It lets the display change its refresh rate on the fly, maybe down to just 1 hertz for static images, like reading, all the way up to maybe 120 hertz or even higher for super smooth scrolling or gaming.
Ah, so it adapts.
Precisely. And that dynamic control, it's vital for balancing that silky smooth experience you want with, well, decent battery life, which is always a challenge with big high-res screens.
Makes sense. And the resolution.
That 1312 by 2848 on a 6.77-inch screen, that means a really high pixel density. So visuals should be incredibly crisp, really immersive, whether you're just browsing or watching high-res video.
Okay, so potentially great screen. But it needs power behind it, right, to make it shine. What's driving this thing?
Good question.
The source mentions Android 14, Oxygeno is 14 expected, and specifically the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. They even detail the CPU cores. It's an octa-core setup, kind of complex looking. One 3.2 GHz Cortex-X3, two 2.8 GHz Cortex-A710s, two 2.8 GHz Cortex-A710s, and three 2.0 GHz Cortex-A510s, plus an Adreno 740 GPU.
Right.
That's a lot of cores and speeds. What does that configuration actually mean for performance, you'd feel?
Yeah, that cluster setup really speaks to Aram's big little idea, but, a very refined version. You've got that single, super powerful Cortex-X3 core for peak bursts, like launching an app instantly.
Okay, the muscle core.
Kind of. Then you've got that mix of A715s and A710s for the heavy lifting that lasts longer, like, say, gaming or video editing. They balance performance and power use.
And the others, the A510s.
Those are the efficiency cores. They handle background stuff, lighter tasks, really maximizing battery life.
Yeah.
So this whole setup means the phone can intelligently shift power where it's needed.
So it should feel fast and not kill the battery instantly.
That's the goal, yeah. Top-tier speed and responsiveness for pretty much anything without excessive drain. And that Adreno 740 GPU, that's a flagship graphics chip, so it should handle even the most demanding games really well. Sets a high bar.
Okay, powerhouse potential. Needs room to breathe, though, and store stuff. Which brings us to memory and storage. The source lists a huge 1 TB of internal storage.
Wow, yeah, 1 TB is substantial.
But here's something interesting, typical of these early leaks. The summary part lists RAM as 14 gigabytes. But later, in the detailed specs, it says 12 gigabytes.
Yeah. That kind of inconsistency, it's actually quite common with this early data.
So what could it mean?
Could be a typo, could be a placeholder from an earlier plan, or maybe it hints at different versions, like maybe a 14 GB model for certain markets, or paired only with the 1 TB storage.
Possible.
Yeah. But honestly, even 12 gigabytes of RAM, that's incredibly generous for a phone. It'll handle heavy multitasking, keeping loads of apps open without slowing down. No problem there.
And storage expansion.
The source specifically says no card slot, so that 1 TB internal storage, assuming that figure is right, that's your total. Which, with people shooting 4K video and high-res photos, 1 TB is starting to feel less like overkill.
Especially for creators, yeah. Okay, let's shift focus to cameras. Always a big deal. The source talks about a triple rear camera setup. 3 50-megapixel lenses.
50-50-50. That's interesting.
And the selfie camera. 24 MP, f2.4 wide, 1.22 micron pixels. What do those numbers suggest capability-wise?
Well, a triple 50-megapixel setup usually means versatility, likely a main sensor, an ultra-wide, and maybe a telephoto or even a macro lens, all high-res. That gives you lots of flexibility for different shots.
Right.
And the video capabilities listed for the main camera look strong. 4K at 30 or 60 fps, 1080p also 3060, plus gyro EIS for stabilization, HDR10, and 10-bit video.
Okay, break down HDR10 and 10-bit video for us.
Sure. HDR10 means better dynamic range, more detail in the really bright parts and the really dark parts of your video. And 10-bit video. It captures vastly more color information than standard 8-bit. That means smoother color gradients, richer, more accurate colors. It's getting closer to pro-level video quality on a phone.
And even the selfie camera does 4K.
Yeah, 4K at 30 fps according to this. That's a premium touch. Shows a focus on high-quality video all around.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Beyond cameras, staying connected, staying powered up. Absolutely crucial.
Foundational.
The OnePlus 16 Pro is expected to have Wi-Fi, EBNEC 67 dual band, Bluetooth 5.3, comprehensive GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, BDS, QZSS, NFC, USB Type-C 2.0.
Pretty standard high-end suite there. Wi-Fi 6 and 7 are the key future-proofing bits.
Interestingly, it notes no FM radio and no infrared port. Some people might miss those.
Yeah, the IO Blaster especially has its fans for controlling TVs and stuff, but they're often cut on flagships now.
And speaking of power, another discrepancy here in the source. Battery capacity, 5,900 milliamp in the summary, but then 50-50 milliamp in the details.
Ooh, that's a big difference. 5,900 milliamp would be massive, like potentially amazing endurance, maybe pushing 2 days. 50-50 milliamp is still very good, but more typical for a flagship.
So which one do we lean towards?
Given it's an early leak, the lower number, 50-50 milliamp, might be, let's say, the safer bet, or maybe it's different versions again. Both are listed as light poly, non-removable, which is standard.
And the connectivity stuff. Wi-Fi 67 BT 5.3.
Yeah, that ensures really fast, efficient wireless internet, assuming you have the routers. Bluetooth 5.3 means better range, speed, efficiency for headphones, watches, all that. And the detailed GPS support. Accurate location for maps, everything else. All solid premium features.
All right, let's tackle a price and the perception. The estimate in India is around $1,200.
Ooh, steep.
And the source adds this comment. Indian people are very excited about this mobile. For those who like to lead a luxurious life, the features of this mobile are very attractive.
Interesting framing.
What is that price point combined with that luxurious life comment? Tell us about where OnePlus might be aiming this phone.
Well, $1,200 puts it firmly in the ultra premium tier, competing head-on with the absolute top-end iPhones and Samsungs.
No longer the flagship killer price.
Definitely not. This is aiming for the flagship crown itself, the luxurious life comment. It suggests OnePlus is confident it can deliver not just specs, but the whole premium package, build, design, software experience, support. It's aspirational.
Buying into an image, maybe, as much as the tech?
Potentially, yeah. It's about delivering that complete high-performance, high-status package.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating and maybe a bit confusing. The source has an R rating from their experts. They give the OnePlus 16 Pro an overall 5.5 out of 10.
Wow, 5.5. That's quite low for rumored flagship specs.
Yeah, and the subscores are specific. Design 5, display 6, camera 5, features 5, connectivity 6, usability 6, performance 5, battery 6. Pretty mediocre across the board, according to them. But then there's this user interaction part where you, the reader, are asked to rate it. And it shows that if you rate things highly, like give it a 9 in many categories, it calculates an overall 610 based on your selection.
Ah, I see. So expert caution versus potential user enthusiasm.
Exactly. What does this stark contrast, the expert's cautious 5.5 versus this implied user optimism possibly hitting 6?
Yeah.
Tell us about how these early product cycles work.
It really highlights that tension, doesn't it? The expert rating, that 5.5, it likely reflects a professional just being very measured about specs that aren't confirmed yet.
Holding back until they actually test it.
Precisely. It's the prove it to me stance. They're waiting for real-world tests, Benchmark's the official word, but the user score, potentially hitting 6, that taps right into the hype, the
The
aspirations.
excitement for the next big thing.
Exactly. It's based on the potential seen in those high-end rumored specs, maybe the brand's reputation. It kind of reminds us that experts need hard data, but consumer excitement that can run on potential and perception alone, especially early on.
So it really makes you think, what narrative are you buying into when there's no concrete info yet?
Absolutely. It's a great question to ask yourself when looking at any leak or rumor.
Well, what a deep dive that was into the
Hmm.
potential OnePlus 16 Pro. It's amazing how much you can actually pull out of these early, sometimes contradictory sources.
Yeah, piecing it together, comparing the different angles, it paints a picture, even if it's still blurry.
So a final thought for you listening.
Mm.
As you keep tracking upcoming tech, how much weight do you give these early leaks? The cautious expert ratings versus maybe your own gut feeling or excitement for what's next?
Mm.
For you personally, what's the key signal in all this early buzz? Is it the raw specs, even if they're unconfirmed?
Yeah,
Is it that rumored price? Or just those first whispers of excitement that start building?
lots to chew on there.
Definitely. Keep digging, keep asking questions, and keep following whatever tech truly intrigues you.